got my master's in management and leadership, and then I rounded it out with my doctorate in business administration. So, with an emphasis in technology, actually. Um, so after that, it was about maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, that I found Michael Hyatt's book, Living Forward, and that book really talks about making a life plan, and with an emphasis. It's funny because it actually starts off having you write your own eulogy, so you really start thinking about where you want to be. And so I started evaluating what I was doing, and even though it was all technology related, and I had been doing that for a long time, really where I found my fulfillment was in helping develop other people, empower them to perform better. And so that's when I decided that what I needed to be doing was really taking the leadership skills that I had and pouring those into other people so that I could help benefit them, right? So that's when I started WellFed. And that's what I've been doing for the last months. September, so about 9 months.
So about 9, so it's a very, very, very new company.
It isn't
that you started up there. And so, you know, because I guess leadership seems to be your niche, because you've mentioned it several times. You know, what about you makes you a great leader? And two questions. So what makes you a good leader? And then the other question is, where did you learn that leadership from? And, you know, and hey, how's it going, my friends? My name is Ryan Perez, owner and founder of Bowtie Creative, and the host of The Hustle Zone. And folks, I've been working day and night, you know, because this magazine's coming out in October 1st. And we're trying to get this thing regularly scheduled so that we have content every day. So I've been working with the content creators. I want to host some of their shows during the week. So if you are a person that wants to have their own show, you probably want to hit me up. You probably want to become a writer for the Hustle Zone magazine, because I may have a slot for you, so that we can help produce content every day. You know, we want to produce like really good content. And so, folks, this is the Hustle Zone. This is where we expand the crop. We get to know people beyond the success, beyond the bullshit, beyond you know, the success stories. But you know, we want to see everything. We want to see what makes these entrepreneurs tick. So I'm super happy for where we've come. I mean, it's almost been a year since we've been doing the videos. I mean, it's been over a year of us promoting content and creating content, but it's been almost a year we actually did the Hustle Zone format. So I am super excited for that. And so who's in the house tonight? I don't know. I've tagged people, so like, folks, if you don't mind to share. And I'm going to get, I'm just going to share to Live Talk Nation. These are my peeps. You know, these are a bunch of, if you're a live streamer, you definitely need to be a part of that group, because Live Talk Nation is definitely going to promote your stuff. They're going to, looks like feature you're using is 2000. Oh, I've been blocked from sharing. I have been blocked from sharing. Okay, so anyway, doesn't look like I can share today. But regardless, we are going to hold on a second here. Let's see if I can find a different way from sharing. So who's in the room? Let me know. Ryan Perez in the house. Let's go to Live Talk Nation. We got 3 people in the room, so say something. Say hi. Okay, so I've shared. I'm good to go now. So now, folks, Hustle Zone gear. You want to make sure that you get your Hustle Zone gear at hustlezone.com or not, or hustlezone.clothing, I believe. So it's a great place to find good merch from Get That Tea. Get That Tea produces it, so I'm super happy to be with it. Partnered up with them. And I've also put donate links, because we're not doing this for like out of thin air. Like, money doesn't grow on trees, so we definitely need your support. So feel free that if you feel that we're producing really good content, to please donate. And yeah, so I don't see many people in the room tonight, which is weird. Maybe it's just my system here, because I see people here, but I just don't see their comments. And I normally greet people around this time, so that's okay. I'm going to tell you guys about a person that who's going to be a part of the Hustle Zone tonight, and he just hit me up randomly and said he wanted to be on the show because he saw something that we were doing, and he said he wanted to be a part of it. And I was thrown off because I wasn't sure what well-fed, LLC meant, and from what I understood is that well-fed was like, I thought he was like feeding kids in Africa or somewhere around the world. So I was just like, oh, we're going to talk about, some social entrepreneuring tonight. But he has let me know that it's not. It was the first inclination, but that's not what he's all about. And then I was thrown off because today I was trying to figure out, because I didn't really do much prep because I didn't know him. We just set it up, and I was pretty proactive in getting him on the show. And then I put out a post today, and he shares it, and then he says Doc's gonna be, or Dr. Josh is going to be on tonight's Hustle Zone. I'm like, oh, so he's feeding kids in Africa, and he's also a doctor. So he just told me that's not he's not a medical doctor. So he'll explain all of that later on tonight. So I was just thrown off trying to figure it out, and then I asked him to send me a headshot, and the headshot he had was like this wee little photo, and I couldn't do nothing with the headshot. It was pixelated, and but realizing that the headshot was on his Facebook, and it was a nice picture with him and his wife or fiance, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna have to ask him that tonight. But so I was just confused today. I was like, I don't know who I'm meeting tonight, so I'm gonna have to ask him some questions before we get onto this call because I was just confused. I'm joking, but no. But he seems like in the green room. He seems pretty good guy, and I'm super excited to have him because this guy specializes in leadership, and you know what? You could be dumb as a doorknob. You can have no money. But the people that move this world are leaders, and leadership is very important, and I really, it's so funny. He was kind of telling me a little bit about his story before we got on, and I shouldn't have asked the questions because I normally don't like to ask before I get onto the show. But, he said, he said something about moving up the ranks, and whenever someone moves up the ranks, it's not because they are goody two shoes. It's because they know how to be team players, and having good leadership skills. You got to be a great team player. You have to be able to do the job that someone asks you to do. If they say jump on a jump and do 10 jumping jacks, and you do 11. Yeah, you look pretty cool, but you're not a team player because you're trying to show people up. If someone asks you to do 10 jumping jacks and you do 9, then you just look like you're lazy. You could do the extra, right? But if you do 10, you know how to follow orders, but you also are playing. You're a team player. That's in my eyes. I think someone that knows how to listen to other people and lets people talk and lets people air out their concerns, but also knows when to talk and knows when to instruct people. I think that's good leadership. But I'm not an expert at leadership. This guy is. And so we're going to get him on here. So everyone give it up for... And folks, if you guys have any questions, just type in /Q and you can ask questions. And then we got Anthony Davis in the house. Now, I'm so sad that I cannot share this out to Live Talk Nation. Facebook, I don't understand why you guys have blocked me from this feature. Shame on you. That's why I'm creating Hustle Zone TV in 1 month. Okay? But that being said, everyone give it up for Joshua Nelson. How's it going, my friend?
It's going great, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
What did you think about that introduction?
I liked it, man. Authentic, real, straight to the point. You covered a lot of good points in there, so I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's awesome. See, I didn't think you were expecting me to say all that, but he's like, what am I coming on this Hustle Zone for? This guy's so boring in the pre-interview in the green room. But I try to save the excitement for the show rather than behind the scenes. But how are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing real well. It's been a busy week, but it's been a good week, so I'm excited to meet with you tonight and wrap things up before the weekend here.
Awesome. Now, Joshua, I want to let you know that we have a few traditions. The first tradition for the Hustle Zone is that we ask you what your story is. So can you kindly tell us from the very beginning, like when you were born, like I want to know your full story. Secco. I'm joking. No.
All right.
Yeah, but let us know.
All right, so I was born and raised in Newport Richey, Florida. Well, I was born in Newport Richey, Florida. I was raised in Town, which is about 40 minutes from there, maybe, give or take. It's a small little town. And, I spent the first few years there, and then my parents wound up getting a divorce. And my father moved away, so I spent my time kind of commuting back and forth between Arkansas and Florida. Summers, Christmas, how that typically can go. And I did that throughout my school career. When I graduated high school, I decided, I'm going to go into college, but I got to be honest, at that point in my life, I wasn't very responsible or mature, so I kind of blew it off and just floated around for about a year. I think I had a .6 GPA, something to that effect. So what did I do? I looked for opportunities, and the Marine Corps is where I decided to go. So I went into the Marine Corps, but again, didn't have much focus and directions. In open contract, which basically means they pick your job for you. So I went in there, and they chose computers for me. So I was a computer guy inside the Marine Corps, and I did that for 4 years. I spent some time in South Carolina at Parris Island for boot camp. I went out to the Mojave Desert in California at 29 Palms to get my training. Then I spent some time at Camp Geiger. Most of my career was at Camp Lejeune. And so I did that. In there, I was a data network technician. I was a tactical data networker and information systems chief. So it was a great experience. Got a lot of life experience for sure, really quick. But when I got out, I decided to get out because while I was in, I got married and I had one kid. And when I got out, I was 8 months into my second kid. So he was about to be born, and so I got out of the Marine Corps, and I decided to stay in the technology field because, again, my ex-wife there was 8 months pregnant, so we I got a job with the Nielsen Company, which is a TV ratings company, if you're not familiar with it, and
Mm-hmm.
I did that for about 13 months. And that was a really nice job. I liked it a lot. The problem was I didn't know when I was working tomorrow till 10 o'clock tonight, right? So it made it real hard to progress or do anything with the family. I wanted to go back to school. So I managed to get my associates while I was in the Marine Corps. My daughter, when she was born, really spurred me into action there. But with that job, I didn't have time, so I wound up getting a job with the local school system, and from there, I kind of worked my way up, like you said, through the ranks earlier. And so while I was doing that, I also went back to school and I managed to get my bachelor's in business administration. Then I went on and got my master's in management and leadership. And then I rounded it out with my doctorate in business administration. So with an emphasis in technology, actually. So after that, it was about maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, that I found Michael Hyatt's book, Living Forward, and that book really talks about making a life plan, and with an emphasis. It's funny because it actually starts off having you write your own eulogy, so you really start thinking about where you want to be. And so I started evaluating what I was doing, and even though it was all technology related, and I had been doing that for a long time, really where I found my fulfillment was in helping develop other people, empower them to perform better. And so that's when I decided that what I needed to be doing was really taking the leadership skills that I had and pouring those into other people so that I could help benefit them, right? So that's when I started WellFed. And that's what I've been doing for the last months. September, so about 9 months.
So about 9. So it's a very, very, very new company.
It is
that you started up there, and so because I guess leadership seems to be your niche, because you've mentioned it several times. What about you makes you a great leader? And two questions. So what makes you a good leader? And then the other question is, where did you learn that leadership from? And and was that a quality that you had even when you were when you were a kid or when you were young? Like, did you always have that capability of leading people?
That's a great question. So I've been told that I was a natural leader, but I think it's refined and defined as you go. So to answer your first question, what helps me be that great leader is really, I think it's your mindset. I always think of myself as serving anyone, and rather than me thinking that I'm in charge or over people that report to me, I look at it in the opposite direction, whereas I'm serving them, right? Because without them, there's no need for me. So that's my mindset, that servant leadership mentality. And I think that's what's really helped me be able to continue to grow and continue to do well in the leadership capacity, because it's not about me. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of that question again?
The second question is, where did you learn leadership?
Right. Okay. So obviously I have my educational background, but really, I directed back to my moral compass. I'm a Christian, so a big part of me is biblical, how Jesus would do things, and really that golden rule of do for others what you would want done for you. And so that's really how I try to lead. I try to just think about what would be best for the organization and the people whom I'm serving, and then do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, we have a question from Anthony Davis, but before we get to his question, when did you realize that you had the gift to be a leader? Like, when did it turn on for you? Like, oh my God, like I got this amazing gift. Let me use it to my benefit.
I'd say I was pretty young. I can remember just kind of taking charge from the get-go. In situations where other people may take time to pause and hesitate. I often joke, with the fight or flight. I often say I don't have a flight response. I just jump into action. So it was early on, but I can remember one time I learned the difference between leadership and boss. I think, and this may sound odd, but I think on the playground when I was probably about 5 or 6, I was playing with my friends, and I remember I was being pretty bossy. I was like, we're gonna play this, and they straight out had told me, they're like, you picked all week, we're not playing that, and they ran off and did their own thing, and I realized right then and there, I was like, I can't always dictate the situation. It can't be about me. It can't be what I want. I can't just direct life. So I think that really started the shaping of do help other people have a good time and do their best, but really take into account what they're looking for too.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I wasn't a great leader when I was a kid. I'll tell you that, and but I wanted to be. Like, I just didn't know how, and I hated those kids that would pick all the time. I'd be like, okay, you're not the boss of me.
Exactly, right?
Why do
Yeah.
you got to do that? So it's very interesting that you at a young age was able to recognize that that's a power that you have. So it kind of smart of you as well, because you're like, oh, the probability of me keeping my friends, like eight out of 9 times I'll be able to get away with having my own way, but one time out of 8 we'll let them have their way, and then everyone will be merry. So, well,
Yeah, I mean, every relationship's a little bit give and take, right? So,
yeah, for sure. Now, are there areas where, what about you being a student? Like, when you were a kid, like how was high school for you, and how was elementary for you?
yeah, well, I moved around. Well, I bounced around in schools a little bit, especially in the elementary, middle time frame, a lot due to my parents, having split. I spent a year in Arkansas with my father, and I was in private school for a couple years, public school for a couple years, then back in private school. I landed so I got a lot of different experiences, got to meet a lot of different people, and I think you learn to acclimate to your surroundings a little bit, and so that's definitely helped in my leadership journey. In high school, kind of a similar story. I started off more, I'd have to say, almost more of a loner. I mean, I had my friends, my little group that I would communicate with and hang out with. But as the years progressed, I mean, by the end of my senior year, I had been just building up relationships, getting to know people, and I actually got nominated for one of those Mr. High School awards. I didn't win it, but just being nominated was kind of a neat way to go out of high school.
That's awesome. Now, I'm going to ask Anthony's question here. Anthony says, define sincerity. It's a two-part question, and then the second part of that question is, do you find that there is a lack of sincerity in the world today?
Man, wow, that's some good stuff right there. Sincerity. I think sincerity is meaning what you're saying, right? You can tell when somebody's feigning empathy or pretending. I can pretend to care about what you're saying. I can coddle you, for lack of a better term, right, and just go along with what you say and placate your feelings. But that's insincere. People see through that. If you don't have that heart for people, it comes across. So I think sincerity is backing up what you say with your actions, and showing people how much you care rather than just saying it. It's walking the walk, right, rather than just talking the talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, getting back to you as now growing up as a young lad, if you could look back, and I normally ask this at the end, but like if you could look back at because it seemed like you had a pretty, pretty okay childhood in terms of you having a good sense of awareness and whatnot. But is there anything that you would have changed about your childhood to help put you on a higher plateau today, or would you not change anything?
The latter. I've thought about that a lot, and I think our life experiences really help sculpt us into who we are. And quite honestly, I like who I am. So even the bumps along the way, the rocky parts, I wouldn't trade them. You know, they were hard at the time, but they helped refine me. You know, there's a quote that I can't remember right now who said it, but it says our situations don't define us, but they give us the opportunity to refine ourselves. You know, and I just love that.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Now, now going into the Marine Corps, what were some of your challenges? Because I mean, like it's discipline, right? You got to learn to discipline yourself, and you being a leader and having that, you know, that knack for leadership, than having someone, you know, pretty much tell you that you're not a leader yet, so
Right.
you know, calm down.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, that must have destroyed your ego coming in.
you know, it probably could have if I weren't so stubborn. You know, that's one of the things I've often heard people joke about. If you want to see if I'm going to do something, just pretty much tell me I can't, or I won't. It's kind of a running joke, but and I think that played a lot into it. You know, when I was younger, especially, I always felt like I had something to prove. I think I chose the Marine Corps just because other people in my family had gone in a couple other branches, Army, Air Force, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go in the Marines because that seems like one of the hardest ones, right? So I just wanted to take myself to that next level. I think that's why I started down the career for my doctorate too. You know, I just wanted to try and get to that top echelon.
Mm-hmm. And hold on one second. So you just kind of challenge yourself with what people were kind of throwing at you, and that's kind of what helped you plateau through your ranks, etc. Is that correct?
Right. You know, I always try to challenge myself. My goal in life is to be content but not complacent. Right. I'm always trying to be happy and fine with where I'm at, but never just rest there.
Yeah.
There's always another step to take, and I'm always looking for it.
So what are your goals now then? You know, you not being, you know, always striving for something better or greater. Like, what are the things that you do not have that you wish to have?
Well, you know, it's not so much tangible things, really. I just wanna make a significant impact in people's lives. You know, I've gotten your quote unquote definition of success. You know, I've done well in that regard, but really, what brings me the most joy is helping other people succeed, developing their skills, empowering them. You know, because who wants to be at the top by themselves, right? So I want to pour into other people and bring them along for the ride or help them get wherever they want to go.
That is such a superficial answer. I mean, most people don't think that most people are like, yeah, I want to change the world. But hold on, let me go buy myself another boat. And I'm gonna go traveling, you know. So, like, what makes like, and I'm not saying that it's superficial. I'm joking because I mean I just want like what's the deep there's a deep rooted passion
Hmm.
that leads people to want to do or to serve others. Like, what's in this for you?
I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I don't have a lot other than that's just my core. You know, I think you see that a lot of times with people that go in the service, or you know, I just really enjoy helping and empowering others. You know, that's what I really realized when I read that book, Michael Hyatt's Living Forward. And I mean, obviously, I have, you know, financial needs, and I have um, you know, obligations that I have. I have my bills, I have things like that. So I do need a certain threshold of income, but I don't need excess. Because what am I going to do with it? You know, I mean, it can sit in a bank account and gain interest, and I can buy an extra toy. I mean, as long as my family's taken care of, I'm content.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now tell me about your family. So, uh, you were talking. You saying that you have kids. So so tell me a little bit about your family.
Yeah, so I have five kids. Three of them are my biologically, and the other two are my girlfriends. So I consider them mine. You know, so five altogether. They range from ages one. There's twins that are one. Then I have a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, and well, she'll be 12 next week. So running about a decade worth of different ages there.
Holy moly! So a lot of kids, and how do
Mm.
you, with you being a business person, entrepreneur, how do you manage all of that family life and then business as well?
Yeah, it can be a challenge sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. This week was extremely busy, and it was definitely challenging this week. But I think it's all about knowing your priorities and what's important to you, and really committing time management. So if you say I'm going to spend this amount of time on this project, know that when that time is up, you need to stop, right? Because work's always going to be there. And same with when you need to start. Work's always going to be there, right? So you need to make sure you dedicate the appropriate time for that. But then remember that, I mean, one of the biggest things you can do is impact the child, right? Because that's the next generation. That's after you're gone. So, and I just love spending time with the kids. So, um, I try to dedicate myself in both areas. And I'll tell you, Ashley, my girlfriend, she helps out amazingly. When I need a little extra time to do something like this or do something with the job, she steps in and really provides that support for me. So it's
Mm-hmm.
team.
It's teamwork. Now, have you guys ever, because I know entrepreneurialism, especially when you have a 9-month-old, baby, your company, um, and it takes a lot. Like, and when I was young, I had a business mentor that referred to, the making of a baby to running your own business, because you put all your effort into this this thing that needs support, needs finances, it needs cash flow, it needs the right people, and it needs dedication. So I have always been an entrepreneur, and when I had a fiance, and we would argue what was important. And even though at the time she was willing to go through the paces, sometimes she wasn't happy about it. In your situation, were you ever in those situations where you've had to put priority for the business first over your family?
Yeah, I'm trying to think back. So I can definitely tell you with well-fed that hasn't come up. But this isn't my first business. I actually had one back years ago when I was in my early 20s. I started my own computer repair business. It was on the side of my computer work back then, and it did very well. It took off. It took off to the point where I couldn't do my full-time job, that business, and I think I was in school at the time for either my bachelor's or my master's, one of the two. And with the kids and everything was just piling on,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I really had to take a step back, look at the situation, and say, what am I willing to cut? Because I can't. I'm only one person. I can only do so much. And I learned a good part about time management and life balance there, because something had to go. And I had to ask myself, what is that? Is it going to be, my college that I'm trying to better myself with? Is it going to be my family? Absolutely not. Is it going to be my full-time career, or is it going to be my business? And at the time, because I was young and I was probably looking for that sense of security, I stayed with the full-time IT job that had the benefits and the nice security. If I could go back then, like I said earlier, I wouldn't change it, but that's one of those things you always wonder, what if? But so I closed down that business because it really did get to the point where I was going to have to choose one thing over another, and I had to make that choice. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the way.
Yeah, and do you think that, because there are entrepreneurs out there that are not sleeping, that are
Yeah.
that are spending night and day working on their business, grinding and hustling. Do you think that's healthy? And do you think that with what you know about leadership and whatnot, do you think that it's possible that you can balance everything?
I think everybody has a capacity that they need to be aware of. right? Everybody, it's not a one size fits all. Some people can handle a little bit more. Some people can run off of sleep a little or a little less sleep. It really depends on your situation. But I do think that it's very important to know your limits and not push yourself. So you need to challenge yourself past those, but you need to not set yourself up with something that you can't maintain. If you set yourself to perform something outside of your capabilities for a very extended period of time, you're going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
You can't continue pushing, 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 pushing without a minute to take a rest. And think of it like when you work out, right? You can push yourself, bench press, increase that weight. Your muscles are tearing, they're ripping. Eventually, you run out of steam. You need to rest, and then, you take that period of rest. Your muscles get stronger. You can do more, right? But you always require a period of rest in order to be able to continue on. You can't push 100% all the time without burning out.
Mm-hmm. Now, have you always been good at surrounding yourself with the right people, right friends?
No. I can tell you right now.
That was quick.
Yeah, I have definitely made some poor choices in that area. I've learned over the years that's key and vital. That's one of the things Ashley's amazing at is with her support with WellFed and with just me in general. But I didn't always have the support structure, and maybe that's part of why I always felt like when people told me I couldn't do it, I needed to. But I've made some poor choices, but luckily I've had some good people in my life too, and it's balanced out. And now I have a little stricter criteria for who I incorporate into my life, right?
Yeah, so. I guess it's all about being an adult and knowing how to move forward, because I still know people that doing the same old stuff that they were doing in high school, and but I have to admire them because they're troopers. Someone with dedication. They got a lot of dedication because they want to stick to the image or the ego that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like they're a superhero, right? Because when you're a teenager, you have, like, for me it was a bandana or baggy pants, and or for other kids it's like, yeah, I change my hair color all the time. Right, so they're frying their hair all the time and sticking with that. But as they get older, the people that are really dedicated in maintaining their identity, what they think is their identity, they stick with it. But the thing is it's funny that they don't change, but they don't change. They're not learning new.
Right.
They're not growing and whatnot. So what ways have you changed? Throughout the years.
Yeah. Well, first, let me say just one quick point to what you just said, right? Even though they decide not to change, they're not changing. The world around them is changing. Mm-hmm. So if they're not changing to adapt to it, they're gonna fall farther and farther behind. But I have definitely changed a lot, and I'll tell you the biggest motivator that changed me was my daughter being born and then subsequent kids. It really took me from boy to manhood, if you will. Before she came along, I was just living for me, doing my own thing, and all of my answers tonight would be completely different. I could promise you that. But she set me on a path of really discovering who I am and what I wanted to do, and she's been one of the greatest motivators and encouragements. At least that's where it started. My other kids have also pushed me along the way, but she lit the initial fuse, right? So
yeah, and in what way? Like, kind of describe.
Well, because it became about more than me. When it's just me, if I make a stupid decision, or I decide to, not try to better myself or waste my resources or waste my talents, that's just me. I'm only impacting me. Once I became responsible for another human life, it really, really hit me hard. I want to make sure that my child and all my children wind up better than I was. I feel like that's my goal as a parent, is to help them be better than I am.
Mm-hmm. Now, now that you've started WellFed, tell us a little bit about the company, and tell us your inspiration for the company and how it all got started and what it's all about.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, like I said, the inspiration came from the book Living Forward by Michael Hyatt. Really got me focus on the life plan, and really helped me narrow down what it was that I enjoyed about what I was doing. And that was, helping other people get better and develop. So that really set me on the path. And so WellFed is our core focus is helping other people achieve their definition of success, because we know not everyone has the same one. Some people are perfectly content, being a homemaker, raising kids. Other people want to be CEOs of companies, and some people just want to be somewhere in the middle. And whatever that is, we want to help people get there. So we do it in a variety of ways. We do one-on-one coaching. That's a big thing for us. We do team building. So some groups of 20 or less, we have activities and sessions that we do to help strengthen those bonds. And then we go all the way up to motivational speeches at conferences and for organizations. We come in and just kind of give inspiration for those things.
That's awesome. And we were talking about leadership, but from your definition now, you being in this place, what is your definition of being a leader?
So my definition of leadership, I think there's really only one leadership style. I know a lot of books will tell you there's multiple. I think there's one leadership style and many management techniques. But I think the only true leadership style is servant leadership. I think if you're not out there working for the people that work for you, then you're doing something wrong. There may be different ways in which to handle that role. Sometimes you have to be a little more authoritative. Sometimes you can give people a diplomatic type approach, and sometimes you can convince them that, of doing a certain thing. So there's a lot of different management techniques and ways to apply leadership, but I think there's really only that one style of servant leadership.
Yeah, and would anyone try to debate you? Because I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure some people would, and I've met people that have different viewpoints, of course. But typically I find they may get work done, but when you put us side by side, usually they don't get as much effort out of their employees. So while they may be productive, I'm going to be more productive. Mm-hmm. While they may be successful, I'm going to have more success. And that's not a result of me. That's a result of me caring about the team and the team performing because they want to reciprocate that care.
Okay, I'm going to give you a scenario.
All right.
You just walked into a company with 30 people that you do not know.
Okay.
But you're asked to manage the team for one day. From hour to hour, what would you do?
So if I have one day and that's it, and then I'm out of there, correct?
Yeah.
So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the team together. I'm gonna give them a little bit of background about me. I'm going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to ask them two simple questions. I'm going to say, what's working? What's not working? Okay? The things that are working, our strengths, we're going to focus our efforts on that today. The things that are not working, what we're going to do is we're going to not ignore those. What we're going to do is we are going to talk about potential alternatives or the reason why we're doing those things. Mm-hmm. And we're going to spend that first hour doing that. Because in that first hour, if we identify tasks that we've been doing just because we've always done them, or there's no real definitive reason, we're going to cut those. Why are we wasting our time on things that aren't productive? Mm-hmm. I'm going to, and so we're going to take suggestions. We're going to look at different things that we can really eliminate or get rid of, things that are our hurdles and blocking our ways, and look for those opportunities to focus on our core strengths. There's a lot of research that says if you focus on strengths, you will get a lot more results than if you focus on trying to eliminate your weaknesses.
Wow. And and then after that, what would you do?
Okay, so once we've focused on our strengths for that morning, since I only have one day, I think we would have a company lunch or group lunch. So I would go ahead and order in food for everyone because part of, especially when I only have one day, it's really getting their commitment to work hard for me, right? They want to work for something. So I took the time out to listen to them, hear their points of view, take in their feedback. Now I'm taking care of their physical needs, right? And during that lunch, we're going to talk about, okay, so what have we seen this morning? Have we increased productivity? Is it the same? Is it worse, right? Or maybe one of those things that we took out and said was unnecessary, we've found now is actually a key process. And so if that's the case, we're going to adjust and adapt. And if we need to add something back in, we'll do that. And otherwise, if things are moving along better than they've ever been, we're going to go full steam ahead and just keep focusing on those strengths and really take business to the next level as much as we can in a day.
Now, the day's over. What do you do?
Day's over. So I gather up the employees and we just have an after action report, right? We talk about, hey, this is what we did today. This is success that we achieved. Here are the high points that we had. So I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. But now it's your job to carry that on, right? You saw what we're capable of. You saw what your team can do. It wasn't because of me. It was because of your efforts, right? So me not being here shouldn't produce any less results. So tomorrow, you guys come in here, you do even better than you did today because I know you can.
Yeah.
That belief in them makes them believe in themselves, and they just, they get a fire in them, and they want to prove it to you, even though they have no obligation to do it to me because I'm gone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Have you ever dealt with people that are just not skilled? Because I've always been under the impression that for any business to run, you need to only have skilled people, but ever so often, you hire people and you find out that they're just not cut, but what if there's no one available to hire again? Like, hiring and firing employees is just expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
What would you say would be the golden rule in dealing with people that are inexperienced, but you want high yield?
Okay, so I would say the golden rule for that is what you would do for anybody, do for everybody. And what I mean by that, right? I'm going to say it one more time. What you would do for anybody, do for everybody. So a lot of times what I've seen in organizations is when somebody isn't high yield or isn't highly skilled, they get kind of forgotten or pushed to the side, right? I can't deal with that person. They're just too much effort. They're not going to produce for me. They're not going to do work. So I'm going to push them over here and basically ignore them, not give them any of my attention. I'm not saying that they should get special attention, but what you would do for another employee, you have an expectation or should have an expectation that you would do that for them as well. So because if you forget about them, then they're going to become disengaged, right? If they're trying and not succeeding, at least they're engaged. You can work with a person like that. You can work with somebody who's trying. Once they become just disengaged and aren't a part of the team, you have a much harder battle, right? It's like keeping an employee versus recruiting an employee. That's the challenge. If you have somebody that wants to do well, you can work and get them to that point. If you have somebody that's just there, sitting there collecting the paycheck, and you're ignoring them, that's what they're going to do. People will only rise to the expectation you put on them. Yeah.
So do you think that, but if you have like a monthly goal, this is worst case scenario here. I mean, it's hypothetical, but you have a goal that you have to reach within 15 days. How can you get the most out of that person so that, so that you're not going out of business or you're not meeting your benchmarks? Because it could be tough, especially with different learning styles and all that good stuff.
So I've got two answers for that. One, I had some great advice one time that said employees are like a bag of those assorted rubber bands, right? It's not the job of a leader to stretch everyone to the same distance or same capability, but it is a leader's job to stretch everyone as far as they can stretch. So if you do that, I think you're going to get success. But the second part, and the part that a lot of people don't talk about, is as a leader in that role, part of your job is to help employees get to where they want to be or where they fit. So if somebody really can't perform the job or they just aren't fitting in with the company's culture or it's just not a good fit, there's nothing wrong with coaching them and talking to them and saying, are you happy here? Is this what you want to do? Because from what I can tell and from the skill you put forth, I don't think this is a right fit for you. I want you to be successful, and that may not be here. I think it's okay to be honest with people and give them that. And I think they would respect that a lot more than stringing them along and shoving them in a corner.
Yeah, because I think dead weight is dead weight. I think that people don't really, see the implicit cost of having extra, because having extra resources around, right? If they're not, the resources are not being used, you have waste.
Yeah.
And so, you have a bunch of people in your office doing nothing and just doing the minimal. It's best, in my humble opinion, it's if you can't utilize them, like you said, if you can't make use of to a point where they're willing to go, it's just dead weight, and we get so attached to people that we forget the science of business, and we forget. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a flip of the mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think that we're doing them a favor by keeping them on, but we're not. We're holding them back. If this isn't where they're supposed to be, if they're not performing well here, if this isn't something that satisfies them, we are doing them a disservice by keeping them. If we can help release them out to do what they want to do, what their life mission or what their skill set is, that's a favor to them. Mm-hmm. That's how we serve them.
Yeah. Now, so Anthony Davis, I don't know if you're still here. It's really bad that I can't share, but if you guys are part of Live Talk Nation, please share it there. I normally share in that group, but I can't share tonight because I've been banned. And I don't spam. I don't think I spam. Maybe my vegan stuff, but, I don't spam. So I don't know why I'm being penalized. But Anthony Davis says, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make your life better by helping others have a better life. It's kind of like the George Bailey effect. George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah, that's Ashley Elizabeth Lutz said, Anthony Davis, that's actually one of Joshua's favorite movies. So you have someone in the crowd there that knows you very well. When he got a chance to see how much of impact he had on the world around him, it made him realize that he had a wonderful life. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm just going through the comments here. That's it for comments. So we got 8 minutes until the show is completo. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and right. I wanted to ask you more questions and get but I think that you would be a good candidate to write some stuff on the magazine and to put some leadership shows together for the Hustle Zone. We definitely want to collaborate with you, my friend, because you have complete. It's almost like what you're saying is more complete than what I've heard from others when it comes to leadership. Because I think that people try to complicate it when really it's just common sense, right? But that being said, what's your favorite dessert?
Oh man, put me on the spot. It depends on the day, but you know what I always seem to go for and love? I don't know what it's called. It's like dirt pie. You take Oreos and chocolate pudding and throw some gummy worms in there. I think with some Cool Whip. Man, it's amazing. It's always delicious.
It sounds delicious. I wish I could have it now, but I can't due to my diet. Ooh, but Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad?
Ooh, tough. I've only seen a few episodes of either, to be honest with you. Can I say maybe The Walking Dead? Can I hop over to that?
Yeah, The Walking Dead.
All right, I followed that one.
What is it about The Walking Dead that you like so much?
I think it's just the development of the story, and maybe if I got it more into the other ones, I would too. But it starts out with the humanity, and you just see the different layers, I guess, of humanity, and how people interact with each other, and what you kind of wonder how you would do in a world like that, I guess.
Yeah, and when Michael Jackson or Prince?
Oh man, these are great questions, man. I think I gotta go. I think I gotta go with MJ, Michael Jackson. I think.
Michael Jackson, yeah, I would have to say Michael Jackson. He's my favorite. I like them both, but Michael Jackson's my favorite. And if you had a magic wand
Hmm.
and you could replace something right now, what would you replace?
Ooh, man. I had a magic wand and I could replace something. You know what I'd do? I'd get all that water out of freaking Houston, Dallas, and all the Texas area there.
Yeah, that has been pretty rough. Watching the videos and watching people lose their pets.
Yeah.
A lady just lost, her grandchild, four grandchildren, and her and her parents. So you never know, right? I look at my son every day, and I'm like, I try to teach him what I need to teach him, and I say, just in case anything happens, that I just want to make sure that he will be all right, because life could be gone like that. So we're praying for all those who are suffering in Texas. I know there's a lot of people in Texas that are in my network. We're praying for you, and folks, if you guys are looking to donate, please go to the Red Cross and then 41 Sports. Anthony McClanahan had Dallas Cowboy, who's also part of the Hustle Zone. He has To the Top Texas 41. So if you type in that hashtag, that will lead you down the path to donating, because he's out there every day donating water and all kinds of things. So please support the Texans, and even if it's $5, do something to help your fellow American. And the last question I was going to ask you, tell us about your event.
Oh yeah. So what we have going on September 23rd? It's our 2017 Tap the Well Leadership Conference. The cool thing about this leadership conference is if you're local, you can come attend. But if you're not, we have a live simulcast going on, so you can get a ticket for that. It's going to be an awesome event. We've got live music, 8 amazing speakers that are going to be talking on different topics, from engaging with disengaged employees, scaling your business, leading by example, building a healthy team culture. All of it really focused on developing leadership that lasts, right? Something that's going to last beyond you, building that leadership legacy. So it's really easy to get tickets if you want them. It's just, we made a simple URL for you. It's www.tinyurl.com/tapthewell. It's $50 for the live event, or $30 for access to that live stream.
That's awesome. So I was going to, Anthony Davis said, hey, Joshua, you never answered the second part of my question. He said,
The sincerity?
yeah, do you think that there's a lack of sincerity in the world today?
I don't think there's a lack of sincerity. I think what we've run into is we've allowed fear to kind of take over in a lot of instances, fear of either rejection or what people will think, or repercussions maybe. And so I think that heart is still there in people. I think people want to be sincere, but I think sometimes they shield themselves with either sarcasm or some other emotion. So I think, Gandhi, hit it on the nail of the head when he said, be the change you want to see in the world, right? So regardless of what's going on around you, we have a responsibility to show our sincerity, and I can only hope that would inspire somebody else to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, and that's a great answer. We have 2 minutes left. We got to do. We have to do one more thing. This is a tradition at the Hustle Zone, and I apologize in advance.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to do a call and response, and I'm going to ask you to scream Hustle Zone as loud as you can.
All right, I'll do my best.
So you're gonna wake up the babies and all kinds of things.
That's right.
So 1, 2, 3. Welcome to the
Hustle Zone. Oh, too early. Sorry.
That was too early, man.
All right, try again.
And you gotta do Hustle Zone, okay? So
all right, I'll
one
check it
more
out.
time. So welcome to the
Hustle Zone.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, I'm gonna get yelled at for that later, but that's okay.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the Hustle Zone, and it was a pleasure to hear from you and to learn. You know, you're a pretty good guy, and I think that you have a really clear understanding of what you know, and it comes across clearly. And I think, like I said, there's an invitation for you to come back to, to get deeper into leadership and whatnot. Maybe we could put some, free courses together, quick courses for the Hustle Zone, and to help us or to help you, promote, what you're doing. I'd be happy to do that with you. So, thank you so much for coming in onto the Hustle Zone, my friend.
Absolutely. And if anybody, out there wants to connect with us further, our website's iamwellfed.com. So if anybody wants to hop over there, they can connect with me, contact us, and all of that's good.
That's awesome. And, folks, thank you guys for sharing today. Again, if anyone's in the Live Talk Nations, please share it over there. Share this broadcast over there because, they banned me from sharing. I guess apparently it's spam, and I hate it. But thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Susan Day, Uriel, and who else was in here? And a few others. Yeah, thank you. I can't see you guys right now for some reason here. Hold on. Yeah, so Susan Day said thank you for your service. We had a few people saying thank you for your service.
Welcome.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. But thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys later. Folks, make sure you guys buy yourself a Hustle Zone t-shirt. Go to hustlezone.clothing. Remember, October 1st is when we have the Hustle Zone mag. It's a video mag, that discusses entrepreneurialism and expands the crop. It just shows people, beyond, the pretty picture that we see. So, and it doesn't always have to be negative. It's just, some people want more information, and I think people learn from hearing real people talk about real people things. And again, thank our guest for coming, and I'll talk to you guys later. And make sure you guys like my page, Hustle Zone TV. Go to the Hustle Zone because all of the content, once the magazine launches, is all going to be there. So, and if you know anybody that wants to be on the Hustle Zone show, please tell them to hit me up, and I will get them on to the show. And we do this every night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you guys so much, and one love.